What's going on, everybody? You are tuned in to the Hot List. I come to y'all around 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We hang out and we talk real estate. We talk real estate questions, topics, maybe even concerns, and answer a question of the day. And the question of the day is submitted by a listener of the podcast. To find out how you could get your question answered, that's simple. All you have to do is shoot it to me here on Facebook. You can drop it in the comments on YouTube or the podcast player that you are listening to. I have also included links in the description if you have missed out or you want to catch up on previous episodes of the podcast, because we are not just on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, as well as Spotify. So I've included links directly to those so you can download those to your podcast player of choice. Make sure that you subscribe, smash that thumbs up button so as new episodes come out, you get notified and you can stay caught up. For those that don't know, I am your host of the Hot List. My name is Matt Johnson with Keller Realty, and I started the Hot List because I had a number of clients, not just buyers, but sellers as well, that either weren't familiar with the process, weren't sure what to do, what everything looked like, and they didn't really know where to start. Well, I started answering those questions for them, which led to those questions being asked by people over and over. So if you have a question about real estate, you're not sure where to start, I would be happy to be the real estate resource that you start with. Hopefully that can get you in the right direction, springboard you from there, and get you some questions that answers to your questions. And that's really how the show started, is because I noticed that I was getting those same questions over and over. Once I record an episode and do it from there, it's easy to just all I have to do is just send them the episode and go from there. It makes it very, very nice. It's a lot easier, and it's a way to keep everything in line as well. So the question of the day today: what is a vessel sink? You know, this is a great question, or great follow-up question to the bathroom theme that we just talked about yesterday. And you know, when it comes to a bathroom remodel, maybe you want to add a little sense of fashion. We talked about yesterday how the bathroom is often overlooked because unless there's a problem or an issue in the bathroom, you don't really think about it. It's just kind of a room that you use every day. But there's a lot that can be done with the bathroom, whether it's painting, adding some accent decorations, maybe updating some cabinets or fixtures. Those are all ways to update. One that is gaining popularity is replacing that traditional sink with a vessel sink. Now keep in mind, these sinks aren't for everyone or every bathroom for that matter. You know, when they do work, they can really make a splash. See what I did there? I know, I'm an idiot. But maybe you're not sure what a vessel sink is. I would be willing to bet you've seen one and didn't know what the name of it was. So in answering the question of the day of what is a vessel sink, I'm not only going to answer this question and discuss how they're different from traditional sinks, we're going to talk about three basics of vessel sinks. Number one, we're going to talk about the ins and outs of vessel sinks. So I figure this is a good place to start with the basics of the traditional sink. The basin is inserted into the countertop, sometimes it's actually part of the countertop, so it's one solid piece. This gives you a recessed area to wash your hands, brush your teeth, uh, and everything else that you would do in the bathroom sink. These are extremely functional, and uh, they're usually more aesthetically pleasing than metal sinks that you would see in the kitchen or utility areas. And of course, these don't really stand out or make a statement, which is where vessel sinks come in. These serve the same purpose as traditional sinks, but these typically add a little more style and a little more flair. So instead of being either recessed or built into the countertop, vessel sinks are made of a standing vessel or sculpted bowl. These will typically sit on top of the countertop, or they might be partially recessed, not fully recessed like what a traditional sink would be. And this design obviously is going to create a unique look for not just the sink but the bathroom. This is these are becoming more popular because these are more of a throwback nostalgic look to the Victorian area. Uh, One thing to note with these also is the faucet usually stands separate from the vessel sink because they're either mounted to the counter or the wall. And this by doing that, this further adds to the look of highlighting the difference between what a vessel sink is and a traditional sink. Number two, vessel sink installation. Now, compared to other plumbing jobs or sinks, vessel sink can be easier, which also makes it easier to mess up. As long as you're not installing a semi-recessed vessel sink, the typical main concerns that you're going to be dealing with are the installation of the faucet to the wall or the counter, and making sure the drain hole in the countertop is the right size. This, by doing that, it's going to make sure that the vessel sink and the drain properly line up, so you're going to reduce the chance that there's a leak. And these can usually be installed by a single person who has a good idea of what they're doing. If you're not sure what you're doing, call in somebody else. So this does sound simple enough. There's still a few things we need to cover for installation. For example, your countertop needs to be a little larger or wider to accommodate not just the vessel sink but the faucet as well. And you also need to make sure that the countertop is made of a material that can properly or is properly protected against water, because as I mentioned earlier, vessel sinks are prone to splashing more than what traditional sinks are. Next is going to be the vertical height, because I mentioned the faucet is going to be separate from the vessel sink. Vessel sinks add at least 6 inches, if not more, of height to the sink, and you need to make sure that there's the necessary amount of clearance for both the sink as well as the faucet. Then, of course, comes the mounting and the sealing of the sink. This is going to be more important than traditional sinks because traditional sinks are recessed, so it's a little bit easier to line everything up because it drops down further in there. The last thing you want your vessel sink to do is leak around the drain and potentially weaken the countertop or the cabinet that it's sitting on. And finally, that's going to bring us to number 3 on the list, are vessel sinks right for you? While these type of sinks are very striking, they give the bathroom that unique look and really demand a lot of attention, which is great. They come in a variety of shapes, materials, which allow for more of a customization and customizing than what traditional sinks are or give. Plus, this gives a more personal touch to maybe your taste or design preferences. Now, as far as the countertop itself, they don't require as large of a countertop or support. So if you're doing just a vessel, you may not have to have as long of a countertop or as sturdy as a countertop, because these type of sinks aren't as heavy as what traditional sinks are. So they work very well in smaller bathrooms, again, if they're mounted properly. I just want to reiterate again that with the vertical space that you have, make sure that you're going to have enough between either your mirror, your cabinet, however you're going to mount it. Make sure that you're going to have enough, plus the splash consideration creating some issues as well as a type of mess. So the last thing you want to do is install a sink like this, and then you have water on the countertop, on the cabinet, on the floor, or maybe on the wall or the mirror itself. And you need to account for this and know what you're getting into before you commit to this style of sink. Not to mention, because they can set at least 6 inches higher, if not more, it's going to be a taller sink, so you have to make accommodations for that. So if you have smaller children, they're going to more easily be able to access a traditional sink versus a vessel sink that's going to sit up higher. So that's it. Those are the 3 basics of vessel sinks. Number 1, talking about the ins and the outs. It's a separate piece from the countertop. It is not necessarily one piece like it is with traditional countertops. They are more of a throwback to the Victorian times, like you had just the pitcher and the bowl. So it creates a unique look for your sink, and it's just another way to add some style and some flair to your bathroom. Number 2 was vessel sink installation. With this, because they do set up higher and the faucet is usually mounted to the counter or the wall, you need to have sufficient space between the sink, the faucet, and whatever is above that's not going to interfere, as well as make sure that the countertop that you choose this to go on is going to be properly protected against water, because splashing with this type of sink is more common than traditional. And then finally, number 3, deciding if they are right for you. You know, with the customization that's available, not just with the sink, but with the faucet as well, you can really add a little bit of flair to it, and they work really well in smaller bathrooms. You just have to decide if you want your sink to be 2 separate pieces. Plus, you have to have the faucet a little bit different setup sometimes. Have to have a taller one versus what the standard ones are. There's going to be more prone to splashing, as well as if you have if you have little ones at home, with those bowls being taller, they are more likely to either A, not be able to reach it, or B, they're going to make a bigger mess. It's going to get on the floor, on the counter, all over the mirror. Who knows? So just a couple things to keep in mind. So I hope this helps answer your question. If you have any more questions, please feel free to submit them to me, whether it's on Facebook or in the comments on your podcast player of choice. I'm happy to answer the questions and get the ball rolling for you. So that's going to do it for me today in the hot list. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.